The UK is headed towards crisis mode. This after Britain's Prime Minister Boris Johnson asked the Queen to shut down Parliament until mid-October, essentially reducing the time for MPs to hold more Brexit debates or possibly even asking for another extension. After careful consideration, Queen Elizabeth approved Johnson's request. And as you can imagine, this has outraged MPs who are now calling the move an attempted coup. To walk us through this dramatic development, let's turn now to RT's Paula Slier, who's live in London for us. Paula, was this an expected move by the monarch?
It certainly was. While the Queen is in the position that she could have turned down the Prime Minister Boris Johnson's request, she was highly unlikely to do so. As the head of state, she needs to maintain a strictly neutral position on political matters, and she's always had a very close relationship with her prime ministers, who she meets with on a regular basis and has done so over the years. Had she declined his request, that would have triggered a constitutional crisis. So no surprises on that front. We have a situation now where the Parliament that is currently in recess returns on the 3rd of next month. 6 days later, on the 9th of September, until October the 14th, they will then be suspended again. And that is the request, the formal request that Johnson put forward to the Queen, meaning that they only resume little more than 2 weeks before the final deadline, the 31st of October, for the UK to leave the European Union. Now, this means that there will be less sitting hours in Parliament to debate the whole issue of Brexit, and it also means it will be much harder for parliamentarians to stop a no-deal Brexit from going through. Johnson, on his side, says that he put forward this proposal to the Queen essentially because he wanted to start making progress on the national legislative agenda.
We're not going to wait until October the 31st before getting on with our plans to take this country forward. We are going to have a Queen's speech, and we're going to do it on October the 14th. And we've got to move ahead now with a new legislative programme.
Now, as you can well imagine, there's been a lot of criticism, particularly from opposition members of Parliament. They've termed this a cowardly move by a Prime Minister that they say is autocratic and not elected. They also say that all of this is an attempt by Johnson really to try and prevent or delay a vote of no confidence, as he's aware that the Parliament is unlikely to support a no deal. We've heard from the leader of the opposition, the Labour Party, Jeremy Corbyn, who has said, and I'm quoting, that he will prevent a smash and grab on democracy, and that there's absolutely no way he'll support this suspension. We've also heard from the leader, the Speaker of the House, John Burkham, who insists that this is really just a delay tactic by the British Prime Minister.
This move represents a constitutional outrage. It is blindingly obvious that the purpose of prorogation now would be to stop Parliament debating Brexit.
Well, Paula, how is the EU responding to Boris's Brexiteers taking back control?
There's a lot of criticism coming out of the EU. We hear them saying that they believe that this is a way for Johnson to push forward with his own Brexit agenda. And they also believe that this has increased the prospects for a no-deal Brexit. The European Parliament coordinator said, and here I'm quoting too, that this really is a way of taking back control that has never looked so sinister. We've also heard from the former Europe minister, who says, to quote, there is a disease in British democracy. In other words, and other words being used by European leaders are words like incredulous. Of course, we've seen months of political wrangling, and this is an issue that has faced stiff opposition in the British Parliament. You'll remember that Theresa May finally resigned over the whole issue. There were 3 votes that went forward during her leadership. There was a recent poll here in the UK carried out by the Telegraph newspaper that found that 88% of Brits believe that their parliament is out of touch with the people. And certainly these latest developments seem to point in that direction, because we have a debate that's no longer about Brexit or not Brexit. It seems to be more about a deal or no deal. And who is leading the debate are people that were not directly elected by the public. Having said that, though, Boris Johnson did say in his election promises that he was going to put this issue to bed once and for all. And certainly he seems to be moving in that direction.
Right, Paula Slier, good to see you. Thank you for that report.